Okay, a quick view now of the new syllabus and the new exams and some of the changes that you'll find both within my PRINCE2 2017 primer and of course in the official manual. The good news is you still have the 7 standard principles, the 7 processes and the 7 themes. And if you've picked up on this already, within each process there are what PRINCE2 calls activities. These are all pretty much the same. Some have been renamed slightly, but there's only one extra process that I've found in the whole manual, and that's the first activity within the initiating a project process. Okay, let's go through some of these points then. You'll be delighted to know that configuration management has been removed, and quite right. It's a set of skills in and of itself, and those that provide configuration management will be the experts. Of course, PRINCE2 needs to dovetail in with configuration management, so you will find some of the artifacts, if you will, used within configuration management. After all, it is important as change control, and that, as you might imagine, is still within PRINCE2. The other difference you'll find is the new manual contains key messages, definitions and tips in special coloured dialog boxes. Yes, I've included those in my slides as well. The biggest change, probably in terms of documentation, you'll remember the PID. That stands for the Project Initiation Documentation. That's still there, as you'd imagine. But you used to have 4 strategies. For example, the risk management strategy. These are now more correctly called approaches, and I think that's a great improvement. In other words, you'll now find the risk management approach, which does what it says on the tin. It's how you should approach applying risk management within each individual project. In other words, it's part of tailoring. The initiating project, as I've said, has a new first activity called Agree the Tailoring Requirements, which sets the scene for everything that you'll include within the PID itself. Each process now has a tailoring guidelines section, and that's another reason why I've included extra lessons within each module. Also, there is guidance given for not only projects and programs, but also portfolios within each section, and that too I've included. The other change you'll notice is that in PRINCE2 2009 you had something called Corporate and Program Management, and they're the folks that issued the mandate to kick off a project in the first place, and it's who the executive of the project board reported up into. You'll now find throughout my slides the notion of corporate/program management, or often I just call it program/customer. Quite rightly, because in many cases your project will be funded by the customer rather than senior management within your own organisation. So they're the 3 options that you may find from project to project. There's a new chapter on PRINCE2 tailoring and adapting, and I mentioned it in the previous slide, do you remember, in Module 3. And with the launch some 2 years ago now of PRINCE2 Agile as a separate course of study, advice on the Agile perspective is given throughout, and you'll be pleased to know by the same folks who authored the PRINCE2 Agile manual. And you'll also find added information on general tools and techniques, such as Gantt charts, S-curves, risk techniques, and so on. Now on to the exam. You may have read that the Practitioner exam is harder than before. Well, I'll explain to you why you shouldn't be unduly worried about that. So the foundation exam syllabus has not changed much, very small elements, and relies on the student being able to recall, recognise, describe and explain PRINCE2 elements. It's still a closed book exam, which means you take it without any reference material in front of you, and it's 60 minutes long, 1 hour, and there are 60 questions to answer, rather than the old 75. Now, there are 4 question styles that may be used, and I'm about to explain them to you. But first you need to know that the pass mark is 33 marks, which is 55%, and just like before, the foundation exam is fairly easy to pass, most folks do, and you'll certainly sail through it after going through my PRINCE2 primer. So here's one type of question style used in the foundation exam. You'll immediately recognise it if you have any experience of the previous version. Identify the missing words in the following sentence, and it'll give you a quote, blah 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 blah, update the, and a question mark, and continuing. And then you have a choice of what is it. In this case I've given the example of a product. Is it the project initiation document? Is it the risk management approach? Is it the lessons log? And so on and so forth. The other style you'll see Again, multi-choice is, for example, you're given a simple straight question. I've just chosen this as merely an example, the purpose of the change theme, and you'll have 4 statements or definitions, and you need to choose the right one. It's worth saying that in the foundation exam, every question only has 1 right answer. The third type is where you'll be given which statements about the quality review are correct. Again, just an example here. It does this, it does that, it does this, it does that. Again, there's only 1 right answer, and it'll either be it's number 1 and number 2, number 2 and 3. In other words, each of the 4 permutations. And the fourth and final approach goes something like this. And these are greatly reduced, you'll be pleased to know. Which roles should not? In other words, it's a negative question. Role M, role N, etc. Again, I've just chosen roles as an example. Those are often tricky because in the heat of the exam itself, your brain misses the word not, and you go straight to these and choose the one that is, which of course is a wrong answer. What about the practitioner exam? Okay, well, this is still open book, and this means, of course, the only material you can bring into the exam is the official PRINCE2 guide itself. You are allowed to mark that up in any way, write and scribble on any of the pages, put little mini post-it stickies in for easy reference, for example, 1 for each theme and 1 for each process, but you're not allowed to include or stick down any type of extra information. As an example here, you couldn't print out a page of information and insert it inside the manual. You'll be immediately disqualified. So it's an open book. It lasts 150 minutes, which is 2.5 hours, and there are 46 questions to answer. 35 of them are what is known as standard questions, and 11 are matching type. I'll explain in a moment. Just before I do, the pass mark is 38 marks, yet again 55%. So what do we mean about standard and matching? Well, the number of standard question items in the exam will be 68, and the number of matching question items equals 11. Now, if you're wondering why that's a larger number than the 46 questions, it's because these particular question items will have, for example, 3 sections, and I'll show you examples in the coming screens. So that each matching question has 3 items to be matched. So 3 11s are 33. What you've got to do is to apply and carry this out using PRINCE2 and apply the techniques and rules. In the exam, you'll be identifying connections and relationships between concepts plus information provided to solve problems in context. Well, doesn't that sound a mouthful? Don't worry, by the time you've gone through several exercises, you'll see exactly what that is all about. So here's an example of a standard question, and you'll immediately recognize it as being very similar to the foundation exam in structure, not in depth, of course. The example I've chosen here, what should the recreation manager do as part of accept a work package activity for the refurbished bandstand? Here I've invented a particular scenario, which you'll get, of course, with the practitioner exam. And it's either A or B or C or D. So there's a standard example. What you'll find is, in the new exam, is that you'll be asked to assess and analyse information in context in order to reach a conclusion. And what the exam questions will be asking is for you to break the information into the component parts, understand how they relate to one another and PRINCE2, and then find evidence to either support or oppose a course of action or reasoning. Now these are hard and fast definitions, as indeed this is, and it all reads like a legal contract, and really don't worry about that. The whole purpose of you passing the practitioner exam is by proving that you can practice PRINCE2, and after all, isn't this doing exactly that? So please don't be overwhelmed in this first lesson about me throwing all this at you. It's there so you understand what's coming. So sit back and pay attention, and all will become clear as I take you through the various modules. The other type of practitioner exam question is called a matching example, and they will tell you to which it relates to. I've chosen one from the change theme. Again, this is totally invented, but it's an example of what you'll find. The launch event is planned to be held at a local hotel. 3 weeks before the event is due to take place, torrential rain causes severe flooding and the venue will no longer be available. But an out-of-town upmarket hotel is available for hire, but it is double the price of the original venue. So the examiner will just set a little sub-scene here and then describe the questions that are about to occur, usually about 3. So there are 3 actions being taken in response to the flooding. Which role from A to E should be responsible for carrying them out? Choose only one role for each action. Each role can be used once, more than once, or not at all. Very similar to the old exam style, I'm sure you agree. So what you'll get here is 3 questions, and I've chosen these as number 39, 40 or 41, simply where they occur within the structure of the exam you'll be taking. And what you need to do for each of these is to decide, and here's your A to E choices, which one of these roles would be involved with that. So despite all the legalese from the previous slide, it's actually not that hard, is it? Well, there's a nice overview of both of the exams, so thank you for your time and attention. Bye for now.